Hi everybody, I'm here to talk about a movie I watched last night for the first time. Although I'd seen snippets of this movie in parts here and there, I never sat down in a dedicated fashion to watch the entire movie, and I did so last night. And that's the 1979 remake, the John Badham version of Dracula, Universal Pictures, 79, starring Frank Langella. And the copy that I watched is this wonderful edition put out by the Screen Factory, Shout. And of course, this is the box that it comes in, the outer box. When you take the box out, you have a choice of two sleeves. You kind of can reverse this to have the artwork I just showed you, or this one. And I opted to go with this for my copy because this better represents the actual poster art from the times. So this is the cover I'm going with. But yeah, the reason I avoided watching this movie for so long was because the idea behind this is that Dracula is a romantic lead. This was taken from a play that Frank Langella was in, playing the title character, and there was going to be a romantic kind of love story of Dracula. And I don't mind when we're doing Dracula movies and we're talking about romance and we're talking about a sexy and alluring Dracula, as long as that's just a means to an end. Because at the end of the day, he's not a nice guy. He's not a hero. He's a villain and a monster and somebody that must be destroyed. And as long as they keep that intact and don't make him out to be this, as I say, really passionate, heroic lover, I'm okay with it. So I wanted to give this a chance. Now, there are two versions that are included on this new disc. And first you have the theatrical version as it was presented originally in the theaters. And that's a color version that's really vibrant like this, and a lot of Technicolor popping, vision. But the thing is, also the version included here is the director John Badham's preferred version, which is kind of a desaturated look. It's kind of noirish looking and black and white, but also, although it's black and white, it has flourishes of color as well in there, so it's a nice blend, and I think that suits the material a lot better. So I went with the desaturated version to watch with this. And director Badham also did the movie Saturday Night Fever, and in the commentary I was looking at, he said that he kind of enjoyed doing this because he likes this kind of horror picture, and it's a good contrast from what he'd been doing. All right, let's talk about the movie itself, and this will have some spoilers in here, so if you don't want spoilers, watch the movie first or something. But in this movie, I used to call it Disco Dracula because it was the late 70s, and the look of Frank Langella, he's got this puffy, coiffed hairdo, which is kind of funny. But nevertheless, he gives a fine performance. I mean, Frank Langella is the star of this movie, and he does a great job because he's handsome, he's sexy, he's romantic, he woos the ladies. But as I said at the top, he still maintains an evil, commanding, menacing king of the vampires kind of feel about him. So I kind of like that he was able to balance that. So that checked all the boxes in that regard. Yeah, Langella's really good, and his best scene, I think, is probably near the beginning when he's first introduced and he goes out to a dinner with his would-be victims. And I like that. The best scene of the film, I think, is a great scene, which is an ode to Bram Stoker's novel, where Dracula comes scaling the side of the wall like a lizard to come down upside down to prey on his victim and to get into the bedroom. I think that is really a really frightening moment in the film. I also think the way it kind of contrasts what we just seen, that comes right after we've seen Dracula as a complete gentleman and a complete nobleman and a complete nice guy, and then he turns into this creature. I love that bit. And there's also a really good scene by Frank Langella where he confronts the vampire hunter Van Helsing. They have a confrontation scene. Those are my favorite scenes of the movie. Also got a couple of beautiful women here. We have Lucy, played by Kate Nelligan, and we have Mina, played by the equally beautiful Jan Francis. The thing is, yes, this is what gets me with some of these Dracula films, when they take liberties. I mean, I'm not a fan of the Coppola film, Bram Stoker's Dracula. I call that Coppola's Dracula. It's not the book. There have been it seems like dozens of versions of Dracula, and none of them nail the book 100%. There's always liberties taken. And one of the liberties that it's taken here, a change, is that we have the characters of Lucy and Mina reversed. Mina is Lucy here, and Lucy is Mina here. It's different from the way we're usually seeing their roles in the story. I don't know why they felt the need to do that. It's unnecessary. But they do it. Okay, it doesn't hurt the movie. And another liberty that's taken, I think, anyway, is I don't recall, as is presented in this film, the situation being that the character of Mina is actually the daughter of Abraham Van Helsing, the vampire hunter. I don't remember that being the case, but they have it that way here. And this is basically based on the Bram Stoker novel, but also, more importantly, the 1924 stage adaptation. And thankfully for me, there's an occasional nod to the 1931 Bela Lugosi film in a couple of moments here and there, which is really, really good. Now, for the other actors in here, you have Donald Pleasance, who plays Dr. Seward, the head of the sanitarium, and also the father to Kate Nelligan's Lucy character. And he's good in the film, but I have to say, he is a scene stealer, because it's noted that Donald Pleasance always wanted it to make everything about him. He wanted people to watch him. So if you watch scenes where Donald Pleasance is with other characters in the same frame, he's always doing something to make the viewer look at him. And I don't think that's right. I don't like people that are scene stealing hogs, you know. But anyway, his character of Dr. Seward is always like popping candies while they're talking, or eating food, or doing something to kind of draw the audience to look at him. But as I say, for this movie, he does pretty well if he's a little eccentric. Okay? Now, the big disappointment to me is the great thespian actor, Laurence Olivier. And Laurence Olivier plays Van Helsing, the vampire killer. Isn't that a great casting choice, you would think? You would think so, but to me, he's surprisingly wasted and underused here. He plays a disappointingly weak adversary to Dracula, although there's a great moment of confrontation where, as I said earlier, where you have Frank Langella's Dracula in a moment that seems to come from the play and the Bela Lugosi movie. You get to see them have one intense moment together, but he seems like a little ineffective here to me, and not really that seasoned on vampire hunting as he should be. And there's a stupid accidental death sequence. They actually kill off Van Helsing, and that's inexcusable. Another thing, while I'm talking about things that I don't like, at the beginning of the film, it starts with the shipwreck, which is very well done. The shipwreck scene is very expertly handled here, but you don't open up at Castle Dracula in Transylvania. And you can't really have a Dracula film without the opening being at Dracula's castle, and Jonathan Harker going to visit him, or even, as in the case of the Lugosi film, the character Renfield was changed. Again, liberties there too, to visit Dracula. You have to have somebody selling Dracula the insurance at the beginning of the film at Castle Dracula, and that's really disappointing that they don't have that in here. But nevertheless, the first half hour of this film is handled very well, and that's the best part of it. I think as it goes on, it becomes typical. And one thing I didn't like about the movie too much is that it assumes that it takes for granted that the audience knows all about Dracula already in vampire movies. So there's no explanation. Why is Dracula coming to England? Why is he there? What's his purpose? It's because his homeland is drained of blood. There's no blood left, so he has to come to England to get new prey. Doesn't really say that. Doesn't even make it clear as to the whole litany of rules of the vampires. They have to sleep in a coffin. They have to avoid sunlight. It has to be stated. They have to drink blood to survive. It doesn't tell you this. I mean, luckily for me and a lot of viewers, we already know all that stuff. But it shouldn't just take for granted that. It should explain it a little bit more. And, no explanations or motivations are really given. But this is a really good-looking film. It's a beautifully photograph film. The cinematography is wonderful. I got to give big kudos to John Williams for the outstanding music score. I love the music score. So there are things here that I like, things here that I don't like. Overall, it's a good Dracula movie. It's not faithful. None of them are 100% faithful, but it's a good Dracula film. I was really taken by the power of Langella's performance, both romantic but also villainous and despicable and commanding as well. So he nailed both. And Jonathan Harker character here, I forget the actor's name, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous character. I don't like Jonathan Harker's character here at all. But yeah, a beautiful treat for the eyes and ears. Good looking film. So, all things considered, I'm going to give the Frank Langella '79 Dracula 3 out of 4 stars. Cheers.